extremely happy that I have here with myself 5 of my young friends. They're all contributors to individual chapters. Let me very briefly, although we hardly have anyone left in the audience at the moment, but this is a book which is born out of our work together at a particular institution. All of us have had an institutional connection at one point of time. They're all, almost all of them are former students of St. Xavier's College, Calcutta. I happen to be a part of that institution as well. So it's in that connection that we all came together to do this book. This is a book which is called, let me repeat the name, the anchor is of course said at once. The Crescent has its own stories. The Crescent, most of us would know, is symbolic of a lot of things, including Islam. The book is specifically on medieval India, something that sort of, becomes straightway, I think, controversial, and it brings up more questions than we would possibly be able to answer or even entertain. I am extremely proud of not just the 5 of them, but there are 18 individual chapters. So there are 13 other contributors who are not present here at the moment. Some of their families are. My gratitude to all of them. There are many of them who are doing their higher studies abroad. Most of them are in the UK, some of them are elsewhere in India as well. So this is a major celebration of our coming together. It is without sort of bragging. Nonetheless, I must say that this is kind of a unique work. This is not very common for such young scholars to be able to come together to write individual chapters to a book at this point of time. I am merely a facilitator in this whole thing, but as I said, I will not be talking too much because I wish to give them an opportunity. It's their first, and it's very important that they be able to speak. So I would, hand over the microphone to them and request that the audience please be a little more patient so that, they can make their presentations. Yes, please.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Shivangi Basu, and I'm a master's student of mass communication and journalism. Firstly, it's an honor to be here, and I'd like to extend my gratitude to Kyoto Publishing House and to our beloved PR ma'am. I have to say that she is an exceptional person, but she was always a very, very unconventional professor. Why I say unconventional, it's because when she introduced the module on medieval India, I absolutely thought that we were going to deal with Mughal emperors and their respective political careers. What I absolutely did not expect was that we would be diving into grassroots level political ventures, especially undertaken by the mystic Sufi saints. While we were doing the module, I came to understand that there were similarities between the everyday lifestyle of Sufi saints and the political stratagem of different emperors. But the irony was that while the Sufis were labeled as heretics, the emperors were celebrated. My chapter, Wilayat-e-Siyasat, Politics in and of Sacred Spaces, it attempts to justify or sort of validate this particular question, and it concludes by stating that even today in the political arena, this sort of convenience and hypocrisy, for the lack of a better word, is still prevailing. I'd like to read an excerpt from my chapter, and hopefully it will give you a brief outline of my argument. The rulers adopted a context-specific model of sacred authority which employed syncretic traditions to its advantage as and when required. Yet, they assumed this role as a good Muslim. At no point do the Sufi saints renounce their religion. Instead, there is an underlying propensity to incorporate non-Islamic ideologies retaining cultural practices of ethnic communities within the folds of Islam. This is to be noted that both the emperors and the Sufi saints did not go beyond the dictates of Islam. They just incorporated things of the Hindu tradition. But on one hand, the Sufi saints were persecuted, while, as I said, the emperors were celebrated. So this is something that my chapter deals with, and hopefully it will be a good read. Thank you.
I'm currently an MBA student, and I'm not going to add anything to what Shivangi said about how wonderful PR ma'am has been as a professor. So what I took on from the module was basically that when we think about Islam and when it came to India, it always seems like something that the entire culture that they came with, it was very aggressive. It was like it was forced upon a lot of Hindus to convert. It was a very forceful conversion. But what my chapter deals with is that there were peaceful forms of conversion where it came from the Sufi saints and how they influenced them to convert to Islam, also while retaining a lot of the local culture. So I'll read an excerpt. Since the mid-14th century, Islam has spread in localities where Sufis of very spiritual genealogies were settling down. Wherever Sufis with different theological genealogies settled down, Islam has spread over the century, carving their own holy geographies. With vast number of adherents, without any demand or pressure to officially convert to Islam. The conversion to Islam did not require the people to give up their own cultural practices, thus on one hand enabling them to retain their culture, and on the other hand created syncretic cultures and Indianized versions of Islam. So I hope you all have a good read.
Good evening, everyone. I am Shivangi Bhattacharya, and I also had the privilege of studying under ma'am. And it was always an amazing class because she had unconventional methods, and it was so interesting to listen to her. She had amazing stories and anecdotes. And finally, when I saw the mail when she had selected my essay, it was a wonderful feeling because it was an honorable feeling. I mean, to be one of the amazing contributors is a great deed. Okay, so I am currently pursuing law, and I would like to take this opportunity to thank ma'am for making me a part of this wonderful endeavor, and also thank you Kyoto Publishing House for believing in this and publishing this. So in the words of our editor, this book re-examines cliched plots and myths of our medieval India and throws light on the forgotten past, throwing light on marginalized episodes that should not have been. Here my chapter, titled The Syncretic Tradition and the Dynamic Role of the Sufis, attempts to showcase Sufism as the humanist form of Islam, and how the most evident manifestation of their rebellious nature was syncretism. And also, as always, ma'am pushes us to think something new, something different. I found out that Sufis and female saints have quite the similarities. And the former was pitted against the ulama, while the latter was pitted against masculinization. So I will read an excerpt highlighting this. There are various such instances that showcase how the Sufis became rebel figures, often making establishments nervous and uneasy. Al-Hallaj was tried by the Orthodox and sentenced to the gallows. He went to his death singing that he would be meeting the object of his love. Correspondingly, Espin remarks that Joan of Arc's feisty attitude and strong belief of her mission to accomplish exemplifies defiance and courage to risk all for well-defined ideals, which is similar to Al-Hallaj. Now you have to read to find out more. I hope you will read this book. Thank you so much.
Hello, good evening. I am Pritha Mukhopadhyay, and I recently graduated from St. Xavier's College just this year, and currently I'm pursuing law from Srories Law School, Pune. And my seniors have already expressed their gratitude to ma'am, and I shall also thank ma'am for everything that she has done. And she is this personality that has made a huge contribution in who I am as a person, the way she has helped me to think differently and unconventionally. I think it is very important to come out of the box and think in a new way. So the essays that we have written here is a product of what she has taught us. And so coming to the Crescent here is representing the political philosophy of Islamic governance in India. And if we are to talk about Islamic governance, I think it is hard to miss out the Mughal rule. The Mughals, I think, are the most remembered, the most alluded and most talked about period or the establishment of rulers in India. So, and if we zoom into the Mughal period, I think the period of Emperor Akbar's reign stands out as the crest point of the Mughal rule. So, as the saying goes, that a man is known by the company he keeps, and we know that Emperor Akbar had a fondness for being in the presence of extraordinary people. He had the court had luminaries who were very proficient in their different fields of work, and one such person was Abul Fazl, who I think brought in the tradition of akhlaq, who introduced the Akhlaqi tradition to Emperor Akbar, which has made a profound prominence in the governance that prevailed during the period of Emperor Akbar's rule. So my chapter, the influence of the Akhlaq, Abul Fazl through Sharia and governance, deals with the importance of Akhlaq, which was built on the rubrics of love, and the love that binds the society in a harmonious way that leads to justice. So I would like to read a small part of my essay. Akhlaq literature alludes to governance based on universal justice to maintain the equipoise within the society. Referring back to Akbar's reign, Abul Fazl can be located as the scholar who incentivized the usage of the Akhlaqi tradition in governance. Fazl is supposed to have introduced Emperor Akbar to the Akhlaqi literature and tradition, which enamored the emperor heavily to have him inculcate the tradition in the governance.
I'd just like to quote from Erin Rees. She says that there are 3 trips you take to India. The one you think you're going to have, that you plan for. That is probably the book we all plan to have, or probably the kind of lectures we all look forward to. The one you actually have when we actually get a feel of how things actually are. And finally, what we live through once we go back home, what we like all our readers to once they are back home. So ladies and gentlemen, this is a book which has covered a wide range of themes related to medieval India. So not only do we have the Sufis and Islamization, we also have Abul Fazl and a lot of other paradigms. So we need to understand, why do we keep going back to history? We keep going back to history not because we like anecdotes of the past. Probably history, some of us have walked down by the burden of the past. So why do we keep going back? We keep going back because we need lessons which we can connect to the past. So as a result, this is not just a book on an essay on society and culture then, but this is a book how society and culture then has influenced our present today and will continue to influence politics tomorrow. So ladies and gentlemen, with this I just want to read out the last concluding para, which will probably set an anecdote for the rest of the book to follow. This is again, the themes are similar. This is again on Abul Fazl, one of the luminaries who has had a great impact on the mind of Emperor Akbar, and how he strategizes to rule a continent which has a very different religious makeup from his own. So the last statement, the last para says, the intersection between faith and politics remains a central theme, not just in medieval India, but this was very much the theme, the central church-state debate that we have in Europe at that point in time. From St. Augustine to St. Thomas Aquinas or Marsilius of Padua, we know that majoritarianism, minority backlashes, and the intersection between faith and politics is very much the issues of our times. The issues of faith, tolerance, and governance assume greater vitality today than they have ever before. The quest for akhlaq therefore becomes more prominent. For as the saying goes, "Insan ki pehchan akhlaq se hoti hai." Man is known for his ethics, virtues, and morality. Fazl will be known for his akhlaqi tradition. The thrust, therefore, ladies and gentlemen, as we have always been taught, is not to answer questions in clear-cut terms. Life is not about answering questions in clear-cut terms, but it is about pondering, grappling, and dwelling over the same questions. And I hope you will dwell more and find your own questions rather than answer them, as Tusi, Fazl, and Akbar walk hand in hand through the beautiful Mughal gardens, the meadows of philosophy, in pursuit for harmony, perennially remaining in the process of realization. Thank you so much.
I'll just take 2 more minutes, Arjun. And it's been so wonderful that I don't want to in any way add anything about the book anymore. They've kind of covered it so beautifully. Just 2 important things to say. Both of these relate to 2 organizations. One is, it might not have any consequence at all, but nonetheless I think it's, for a change, it's important for me to be proper over here. Although all of us have an institutional affiliation, nothing of this event or nothing of the book has anything to do whatsoever with our organization. St. Xavier's College, Calcutta is just what we are connected to. Everything that has been written here, everything that has been discussed here, everything that we have made of the book and of ourselves has absolutely nothing to do with the institution at all. That is the important disclaimer that I wanted to make. That's one. The second is a sweeter thing to say. That is, in a very special way, my gratitude, not just for making this whole thing happen, but also for being able to pursue me over years, so to say. Torun Babu has been a recent addition to the list of persons who calls me, and the calls go unanswered. Torun Babu is not here at the moment. My gratitude to him for for being able to call me endlessly without me picking those calls up. Indranil, thank you so much. Indranil's family also, of course, over here. And most importantly, Arjun, who has been endlessly patient in waiting for me to get over my indefinite mental illnesses through 2021, and on and off. And then wait for me to get all these babies together and to pull the book out in 2022 finally. So that is a very major expression of gratitude to Ukyoto and Arjun in particular.
Shisha and Asmita.
Definitely, if that's, yes, thanksgiving to Shisha and Ashmita as well, the anchor also. Thank you so much. The rest of it is in-house. I don't need to make it public anymore. Thank you so much.